You know, when you think of an industry conference, you probably picture the same thing. Giant expo halls, rows and rows of booths, and, let's be honest, a whole lot of sales pitches. But what if we just threw all that away? Today, we're diving into an event that's doing exactly that. They're trading the hotel ballroom for a literal mountaintop. Let's see what that's all about.
So it's really a tale of two conferences, isn't it? On the one hand, you've got the old way, that familiar, high-pressure environment. But on the right, you see the blueprint for something totally different. The goal isn't sales cycles, it's real conversation. And they're using things like chairlift rides and even remote-controlled cars to make it happen. It's a pretty radical idea, and it all started with a simple observation from the shop floor.
So where does an idea this out there even come from? Well, not from some corporate event planner's manual. It came from the very place where the work gets done, where parts are made and problems are solved every single day.
And this really makes you stop and ask a pretty fundamental question, one that goes way beyond just machining. Where does true innovation actually come from? Is it a new machine, a new piece of software, or is it something a lot more human?
And there's your answer, right there. This is from the event's founder, Al Watmoth, and this one idea, it's the entire foundation for the whole summit. The point isn't the fancy new tools. It's giving smart people the time and, just as importantly, the space to actually talk to each other. So the big question is, how do you design an entire event around that one single philosophy?
Well, they did it by creating a very deliberate structure. It's broken down into 3 distinct parts, and each one is designed to build on the one that came before it. It's a journey, really, from a tiny spark of an idea all the way to a deep, meaningful conversation. And here's that journey laid out. It's a 3-step process. First, you spark conversation with evening panels. Next, you give those conversations a place to continue with some really unique morning activities. And finally, you deepen the whole thing in what they call afternoon living rooms. Let's break down what each of those actually looks like. Okay, now this is the part I find really clever. Think about a typical keynote speech. When it's over, what happens? Everyone forms a long line to talk to that one expert on stage. But here, with panels featuring leaders like John Saunders and Carl Bass, the goal is totally different. The idea is to end this session and have the entire room break out into dozens of smaller conversations. The panel isn't the main event. Its only job is to light the fuse.
All right, so you've got all these conversations buzzing around the room. So what's next? The following morning is all about giving those sparks some oxygen, some room to actually grow into a real fire. And the ways they do it are pretty unconventional. So check this out. It doesn't matter if you're on a 20-minute chairlift ride with someone you've just met, or you're paired up trying to navigate a little RC car over a crazy machined obstacle course, the goal is exactly the same. They call it forced proximity. It creates this perfect little bubble, about 20 minutes of uninterrupted time to just talk with someone new. The activity itself is almost secondary. It's a vehicle for the conversation.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, which happens in the afternoon. This is where everything shifts gears, moving away from those big discussions and random encounters to something way more focused and, frankly, more intimate.
This quote from Al just hits the nail on the head. By physically moving small groups of people, maybe 15 at a time, out of a generic hotel ballroom and into the living room of a condo, the entire dynamic just changes. The environment itself signals that this is a different kind of talk.
And it's not just about comfy couches. It's about creating a space that encourages honesty over performance. A place where a shop owner can talk about the real challenges they're facing without feeling like they're on stage or have to perform for a big crowd. It's about getting real.
Okay, so we've looked at the how, but that brings us to a really important question, the why. I mean, why go to all this trouble to completely re-engineer an event? Well, it's because the industry itself is standing at a major crossroads. I mean, just think about what shops are dealing with right now. You've got AI and automation that are completely rewriting the rules. Workflows are constantly evolving, and the labor shortage is a real persistent problem. At a time like this, another product demo just doesn't cut it. What people really need is perspective, clarity, and more than anything, a network of peers they can lean on. And that's the fundamental difference, isn't it? It boils down to this. Most industry events, at their core, are built around selling something. This summit is built around a totally different purpose, connection. It's a direct response to what people in the industry are actually asking for.
This quote really captures the whole vision. The core belief is that if you can strengthen the connections between the people, you'll end up strengthening the entire ecosystem. from the individual engineers and machinists to the shops they run, all the way up to the industry as a whole.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, what does it all add up to? It's more than just a really well thought out conference. It's a proposal for a whole new way for professionals to get together.
The founder is super clear about this. He says the summit is not a show. It's not a performance. It's designed from the ground up to be a catalyst, an event that sparks real change that continues long after everyone flies home.
So the whole idea of return on investment gets turned on its head. It's not about how many sales leads you collected or how much free stuff you got in the swag bag. The real value is measured in the new ideas you hear, the fresh perspectives you gain, and the clarity you get from having those real, honest conversations.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. In an industry that's facing some incredibly complex challenges, what's truly more valuable in the long run? Is it another product brochure? Or is it a new ally, a trusted peer you can actually call when you need help solving a real problem? This whole event is a massive bet on the latter.